This is a Wave podcast.
Reinventing Ourselves Career Journeys is a podcast series that showcases real-life stories of people who have successfully reinvented themselves through their careers. People who have overcome adversity, found new purpose, explored new horizons, and followed their passion. Welcome to Reinventing Ourselves. I'm Eric Major. Managing entertainment events during the Rio Olympics piqued Mara's appetite for international exposure. An adventurer at heart, she gladly joined her husband as his career took them to Montréal, Quebec. She fell in love with the city and its rich history and positioned herself to learn French in order to launch a cultural event management business. Reinventing Ourselves Career Journeys.
Hello, I'm Lori, your host for an episode of Reinventing Ourselves Career Journeys. We'll be exploring the career of Mara César, an executive producer and cultural events professional based in Montreal, Quebec. Hello, Mara, and welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us a bit about yourself.
I studied in Brazil, the state of São Paulo. So I decided to study something in the area of science, math, or engineer that were easier to handle than people, in my opinion. When I finished my studies, I went to São Paulo looking for a job, and I started to work in entertainment, events, marketing. At that point, I realized that my skill, work with people, it's amazing, and that's the thing that I love.
So tell us a little bit about some of the highlights of your early career as you entered the field of entertainment.
I had worked in important entertainment companies. I decided to set up my production company in partnership with my husband, who was also a producer. That was the first highlight, I think. But the second one happened was when I received a proposal to work in the Olympic Games in the Department of Production in 2016 in Brazil. So I worked in the Olympic track relay and my husband working on the opening ceremony.
Sounds very exciting.
Yes. These two highlights in my career. After that, everything changed for me, personal and professional.
Tell us about the change. What precisely happened that created a need or a desire to make a change?
In Olympic Games, we met many professionals from the other parts of the world who talk about this possibility to work abroad. We didn't think about work outside Brazil. Our work was very good, and that now we had to this contact. They could even help us with that. For us, it was an idea completely in line with your plans at the time. So we started programming ourselves and talked to those contacts that we were open to that. I was then that my husband, after the third attempt, was hired by Cirque du Soleil. But before that, we spent time in the United States. Florida has a sabbatical time and also experienced some of that life outside the country. In that period was when my husband received the response regarding Cirque, and then we already started planning the issue of actually moving to Canada. Because Cirque, being a Canadian company, the immigration process will be easier.
I'd like to talk about, the specific steps that you took when you started that adventure. What were some of the processes that you needed to follow and some of the actions that you needed to take to make your dream happen?
My main goal was to learn the country language, that's French, integrate to Canadian society, Quebecois society, and enter the Montreal cultural market by working as a producer. But I realized that also I had opened my mind to other possibilities because Montreal is a city with an intense and diverse multicultural life with a very interesting path. And I also realized that knowing more about the history of the country, of the province that was living in that time, would help me a lot in this process of integration with society.
What would you say was the biggest obstacle that you encountered, and how did you overcome it?
Certainly the biggest obstacle was communication. I learned the language. Not knowing the local language, which is French, because in Canada, even the majority of the population is speaking English. In the province of Quebec, French is the primary language. I was able to overcome this obstacle, first studying a lot of French. For that, I participated in the free French course. That's a program for immigrants called Francisation, in French, Francisation.
The government of Quebec offers French courses for new immigrants. Financial assistance is available for those courses under certain conditions, and sometimes they are free. French is the official language of Quebec, and communicating in French is essential to participate in Quebec society, whether it is to integrate into the labor market or into collective life. You can find links to French courses offered by the government on the waveplus.ca website. Go to the page associated to this episode.
And doing as much as possible to go out and practice French, talk to local people, listen to the radio, watching many shows on TV, but above all, it was the contact with the other Brazilians who already lived here and also performing volunteer work.
And what kind of volunteer work did you get involved in?
I work in a company called FCBB. That's a federation, the Canadian and Brazil business. They do the contact between Canadian and Brazilian companies for developing your business in Canada or in Brazil, depends. For me, know the people that work in this company was amazing because there is Brazilian that live in Brazil yet, but there are many Brazilians that live in Quebec. The change of experience helped me a lot.
So in kind of summarizing these points, what are the key words of wisdom that you would offer to someone who wanted to follow in your footsteps?
The first, the communication. Learn the local language. It's the most important thing in the first step. But also looking for a voluntary job because you're gonna make in contact with the people. It's easier to you integrate in society, knowing how the things work. For me was very important step too. But I think don't expect so much because sometimes the anxious is not good for you, and go by the flow sometimes. It's good too.
That's a very profound statement that you need to manage your expectations because clearly what you had envisioned at the outset is nothing like where you arrive today. Going with the flow, it sounds easy to do, but it's actually not an easy thing at all, is it?
For that, you have to open your mind. In my case, I'm an executive producer, entertainment industry. Here, I realize the movies industry, it's very nice. There are many programs, filmmakers. These things attract me a lot. And I never thought about that. But now I'm open for this kind of opportunities. And I also start to making contact with many Brazilian producers in that area. It's amazing and I'm grateful now I'm excited with this new possibility of work and path in my professional life.
And how has the pandemic impacted your ability to network with people?
In the internet, we have many tools. The people were more connected. For my surprise, I realized that I could make in contact the other ways, like programs, online conversation clubs. But this kind of program, conversation club, is amazing for me because I know many people from here and from the other countries too, and we change a lot of culture. That is the point. You have to use your creativity and open your mind in possibilities, in places that you never thought before.
That's very insightful and I think very helpful for our listeners to have the ideas that you've already experienced and that you're presenting today. I think very, very good advice. Is there anything you'd like to say in conclusion?
When you arrive here, even you had to make research about the place, about the culture, the things when you arrive are different. You need to be calm, to be stable, because many times things that you unexpect.
Well, as you say, going with the flow because you just never know.
Yes.
I want to thank you, Mara, for sharing your personal story with us. I hope everything goes exactly how you want it to go, and then I hope you encounter many surprises along the way.
Thank you, Lori.
Reinventing Ourselves Career Journeys is realized by BRZ Group Inc. This project was made possible through the generous support of Ontario Creates.
For more Wave podcasts, go to waveplus.ca.